Well, thank you so much and welcome everyone for attending our town hall presentation. My name is Dr. Vladimir Saintserin. I serve as the interim dean of students over here at the North Campus, both for here and the West Hill Center. Accompanying me today are my two fellow colleagues, Ms. Kristen Spiker, or Dean Spiker, who served as the dean of students over at the Allegheny Campus and the Homewood Brushing Center. In addition, we have Dr. Tiffany Evans, who serves as the Dean of Students at the South Campus, both for the Braddock Hills and the Washington Crown Center. Thank you for coming on cue. That was so dope. Thank you. Well, welcome everyone. We have a wonderful presentation, wonderful information. And I must say, I had one of those days where it was a indifferent roller coaster, good, bad day, right? But then when I knew I had this town hall today, I actually was excited to interact with students, whether new or current, provide some information, but then most certainly talk to you and answer any questions you may have. Because yes, we continue saying how your goal is our success, but I think safety now is probably more, right? So we're going to talk a little bit more information about our COVID-19 response, but then now that almost 80% of our courses are online, 20% are face-to-face, what in the world are we to do, right? What questions do we have? Where do we go? Who do we have? If we have any questions, who to reach out to. So this presentation we're going to provide, we're going to make sure we get as much information to you as possible. In addition to the Deans of Students, we also have our two student life specialists with us, Kate Farmer and Benjamin Williams. If you can, next slide, please. General housekeeping rules, just so you're aware, your microphone is muted, right? But you will be able to ask any questions by clicking on the Q&A icon. If you see the bottom of your screen, you click that Q&A icon on the toolbar, you'll be able to ask questions. In there, just so you know what we see, while we're presenting, we'll be able to answer some Q&As. Ben and Kate will probably be able to answer as well. But then we have a function on there where we could click live and it'll say we'll answer that question live. So once we finish the presentation, please stay on because we may not be able to get to your question until we complete the presentation. Again, all questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. All right, next slide. So now that we're all going through this together, COVID-19 has officially changed the game, right? Both scary, both nervous, just not knowing what to expect. And I think, you know, as a community and as a group, and as a culture, we all kind of going through this together, right? But I think the notion that we know that we are going through this together, I think it's okay to kind of know that we have each other as support. So I think the whole ordeal of kind of going through this presentation and having these conversations is about giving as much information as we can, but also understanding that things are changing literally not only semester by semester, week by week, day by day now, right? So we're trying to adjust as best as we can, okay? So now we'll provide you a couple of different resources, different places you could gain access to student services. Next slide, please. So one of our wonderful resources is our website. So if you go to just CCAC, www.ccac.edu, right up amongst the top tab, if you see where it says about CCAC, admissions, academics, online learning, all the different top tabs, underneath the student service tab, that's where you can click on for student services, and you'll be able to view all the different options, all the different departments you could research on and probably get some answers to your questions. So for example, you'll be able to have information about the bookstore, which we'll go through this presentation. We'll talk about the hours, right? We'll talk about career services within our student engagement, online dean. We'll talk about student photo IDs, parking passes. Where can we obtain those? If I'm taking online courses, do I need an ID, right? Tutoring services and other helpful links for students. Next slide, please. So when you stay on that website, if you scroll down to the middle, you'll see ACE. Next to ACE is other links where you could choose about different enrollment services that we have, but then also talking about our fall classes, maybe looking at the course schedule a little bit, virtual advising. I'll talk about that later on in the presentation. Of course, financial aid and our CARES reporting, the different scholarships or different student support and student financial support resources that we have currently. And last but not least, still register for courses. But also too, something we'll pay close attention to the website. If you look a little bit to the right, you'll see where it's a red tab. It'll say learn more about CCAC, but then you can click on where it says COVID-19 resources. That's where it gives a lot of information for students. In addition to getting your NetID username and password, which we'll explain to you if you're a new student, you can log into My CCAC and there's other useful links for you for student resources. Next slide, please. So once you click on that tab that I just said in the prior about CCAC's response to COVID-19, this is where you have a plethora of information. Definitely pay close attention to the second one where it says the COVID-19 FAQ page. That's great information, right? Frequently asked questions, and you could probably get some more information on there. But the two tabs that we're going to focus on right now is this COVID-19 self-screening questionnaire, but then also the COVID-19 student guide for returning to on-site courses, okay? Next slide, please. When it comes down to the questionnaire, something that we're asking students to do is pretty much have a daily self-screening. During the daily self-screening, which you have to do every day if you are having a course or a class on ground, you have to ask yourself these 4 questions, okay? First question, do you have a temperature at or above 100.4 or any reason to be concerned that you are developing a temperature without having taken a fever-reducing medicine? Question 2, have you experienced any of the following symptoms that cannot be attributed to another health condition or specific activity like a physical exercise to these 4 traits? A new cough, new shortness of breath, new sore throat, new muscle aches. Question 3, have you had a temperature at or above 100.4 or the sense of having a fever? Question 4, within the last 14 days, have you had close contact without the use of appropriate personnel protective equipment, PPE, with someone who is currently sick with suspected or confirmed COVID-19? If you answer no to these questions, then you could come into the location, right? But if you answer yes to any of these questions, or even if you don't know for sure, next slide, please. What you do now is you contact your dean of students at the respective campus. If you look at your student schedule, you'll see where you're taking courses. It'll have AL, which stands for Allegheny Campus, BO, Boyce Campus, NO, North Campus, and then you'll have SO, which is South Campus, right? And if you have the centers, HBC stands for the Homewood Brushing Center, WHC stands for the West Hills Center, BHC stands for the Braddock Hills Center, and then WC or WCC, which is the Washington Crown Center. Either way, if you did answer yes to any of those questions, it is thoroughly recommended that you get in contact with your instructor, just inform them, but then definitely reach out to your dean of student. And if, again, going back to the website, under the student service tab, you see highlighted in circle is the online dean component. So that's one way you can reach out to your dean. You click on that and you follow the directions and you click on the online dean, you'll be able to just directly send us a note informing us. We will reach out to you within 24 hours to talk with you, have a conversation, and go on from there. In addition to the online dean, if you look right down the middle, that's where you see our names as well. You could click on our names and it'll generate an email. And if you go to the directory, which is on the website as well, you could call us too. Next slide, please. So once you log into your My CCAC, if you created your NetID and password, under your My CCAC, if you look at the graphic to the left, see how it's circled and there's a red arrow pointing towards this COVID-19 student resources. That's the link you click on. And when you click on that link, this is another useful platform where you can find valuable information pertaining to COVID-19, even the questionnaire, right, or the FAQ. But mainly what we're going to focus on, if you look, and it's highlighted on the second graphic to your right. I know it's pretty small right now, but on the second graphic to your right, that's the link where you can click on the weekly calendar of events. Next slide, please. Once you click on that, what's going to give you now is the weekly events from classes starting Monday, August 17th, and then we have classes starting the 31st as well. This will provide you a weekly calendar of events of our departments, but then also too is links connected to virtual advising chat sessions or just virtual sessions, period. Maybe setting up an appointment on Appointment Central to talk with an individual. Maybe just finding out the days and times that an office is open, or just making sure you want to link, click on one of the links to make sure you can speak to someone as well. So this will be updated all the time with live links. All right, next slide, please. And now we have our student handbook. Physically, if you were on campus, we would provide that to you. It's located in the Dean of Students office, and we would have that. But now virtually, it's still available to you. So if you look at the top right in the search box, just type in CCAC Student Handbook. You click on search, it'll come up in the PDF format. It's about, I think, maybe 35 or 40 pages. But what we ask to do, even if you're a current student, but definitely a new student, is review the student handbook, because it has a wealth of information that just talks about being a student, right? And also too, as I always tell students, when you have the student handbook, it almost provides you power, because it gives you and shows you the rights, responsibilities that you have, but it also holds us as staff members accountable to providing you that service. So something in the student handbook that I always push students to is whether you have an academic dispute or complaint pertaining to an instructor, there's the process that's in there that shows you, okay, step 1, you do this, step 2, you do this, step 3, you do that, right? So definitely make sure you use the student handbook as a valuable resource. Next slide, please. And now I would like to introduce you again to Dean Kristen Spiker, who serves as the Dean of Students for the Allegheny campus and the Homewood Brushing Center. She will go through the top 5 must-dos, either as a new student or current student. Now, what we may do is we're having some technical difficulties, but of course it goes when I'm going, right? No, I'm teasing. But what we may do now is I do see some chats in here, and I'll probably see if I could probably have any questions so far that we have. Any questions we could probably put in the Q&A while we get Dean Spiker corrected. Any questions we have? Right in the Q&A, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the Q&A tab, and any questions that we just talked about pertaining to our COVID-19 responses, or where to get some services for our departments. Any questions so far? All right, then what we'll do, then we'll just keep on going. I'll stay on this one. So next slide, please. Tiffany, did you want to say something?
I was going to share with you. I can pick it up, but it's fine.
We're right here together. We'll tag team it. We got it. We got it. We'll do it together. All right. Student IDs and passes. This is something that we've been getting a lot of questions on. Students are like, how do I get my ID? Or do I need an ID? Or parking passes? Who is it that I need to get in contact with, right? So when it comes to student IDs, if you're taking all your classes online or virtual right now, like all your courses, you do not need a student ID, and you'll have the opportunity to secure one once we're back on campus. But let's just say you do have some courses on campus, right? What we're asking is that you please call to make an appointment, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to just limit foot traffic coming in and out the building or in our locations. So you please call to make an appointment. We have our registration number, which is listed right here. And then also too, I provided my number where students could call from, this is my number, the Dean of Students over at the North Campus. I oversee student life and engagement, and that's where we could probably also set up time, see when we have availability, and when we could set an appointment so students could come on location and we could take their IDs. If you need a parking pass, those are facilitated by our security offices. This is where you can come on in, but then you also still need to call ahead of time. And these are the numbers for the different locations. Something we've done is that everyone registered to participate in this session. So what we'll do is, I'm gonna scroll on to the next slide, but if you need the number, either put in the Q&A if you would have a question, or what I can do too is when we look at the registration, we'll email students this PowerPoint presentation or email specific points to this. Next slide, please. Now, in addition to this town hall presentation that we have and the information that we're providing today, tomorrow actually we have new student orientation. And with the new student orientation, we're definitely pushing students to go to that as well. Even current students, there's so much information. I hate to say this, but I think I was probably my second semester sophomore. There's so much information I did not get that I found out my second semester as a sophomore that I wish I would have known. I just wasn't paying attention, right? So even if you're a current student, we would probably push you to still attend one of our student orientations. And again, under our website that I talked about the first time, if you scroll over and see where it says under the admissions tab, you click on student orientation. What that links you now to is you can get on Appointment Central. And from there, you click it by service, and the service is student orientation, and that's how you'll link to it. And what I'll do now too is I'll hand it off to Dean Kristen Spiker, and we'll move on from there.
Kristen, I think we may still be missing your audio. All right. Tiffany, can you come help us out with this slide?
Absolutely, thank you. All right, so on this slide, we wanted to call to your attention, if you have not gotten a student net ID, that's extremely important because it's going to give you access to your academic email, access to the My CCAC portal that you see in the middle of the screenshot there. So we want to direct you, if you need your student net ID, what you're going to do is go to our homepage, ccac.edu, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you're going to see the link for student net ID. Please click on that link, and then you'll see the icon or the information that's listed below with the information in the next button, so you can actually go on, submit your information, and actually set up your student ID, set up your academic email, and that will give you access to all of our systems. Next slide, please. There are some important academic calendar dates we want to call your attention to, and this is also information that you can retrieve from the website. You simply put in the search bar academic calendar, and you'll be able to select the one for fall 2020. But there are important dates here, right? It tells you when classes begin. It tells you when about the drop dates. It tells you when you should expect to see your midterm grades. You can also see the last day to withdraw from the class. So that's really good information for you to have moving forward. Something else it does is it has the holiday schedule. So you'll know exactly if you have classes during a particular time or not due to a holiday. That'll be important for your planning moving forward. There are also off to the right important dates. And you can see under the fall 2020, we highlighted that area. There are some important dates in terms of grant credit and first loan credit that are going to hit your accounts. But in particular, students who receive financial aid are eligible to charge their books against that aid using the bookstore charging period. They actually extended the dates a little bit, so it was available as of August 10th, but you will have that ability to do so all the way through September 11th. And next slide, please. Here's some information about our bookstore. So while you can go on the website, you could go to www.ccacshop.com and you will actually be able to order your book for your on-site classes as well as your online classes. The information will be listed there for those classes. You will also be able to go in physically to a location if you need to. And the dates and times of the hours are listed there for your benefit. So if you wanted to go to campus and visit the bookstore, you want to definitely pay attention to that time. And again, we wanted to highlight the book charging period is August 10th through September 11th. Next slide. So this is additional information that's available now through our bookstore. If you go to the bookstore website that I referred you to, ccac.shop.com, you're actually going to be able to search for Shop Tech. As you see at the top upper left-hand corner, you can make that selection And then you will be prompted by another screen, which you can select CCAC recommended technology. That is letting you know of all of the tech resources that might be available to you, but more suitable if you plan on taking classes. And so that will ensure that you have what you need to be successful in your coursework. And again, remember the book charging period that we mentioned in the previous slide. Next slide, please. So food service will be available on a limited basis at our Allegheny and Boyce campus. And with that in mind, they will have grab and go items at those locations. And then you will also be able to purchase a meal card. And you can get that through the bookstore, which is really nice as well. And you can get it financial aid also. So you want to remember that during that book charging period, if you're at Boyce or Allegheny, you can take advantage of that opportunity. They also have the ability for you to purchase bus passes through the bookstore, and you can do that at all of the bookstore locations, not just Boyce and Allegheny. So just remember that as a resource. And then particular to our Allegheny campus, they actually have a Starbucks on site, which is really nice. And we have listed that they're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. We also want you to know that there are touchless water fountains that are available on campus. So you're encouraged to bring your own water bottles or containers and you can fill those up. There's also vending machines available at most of our locations as well. Next slide, please. Zoom etiquette is extremely important. So we just wanted to make sure that we reiterate to you that it's important to dress appropriately when you're going to any Zoom class. So just remember, you want to wear the same attire you would wear if you actually had to show up on campus for class. That's extremely important. Also, it's to your benefit to mute your microphones. That way we can't hear everything that's going on in the background. And so that's important to remember, but also they refer to it as muting your video. Make sure your video is not on as well, because then, you know, we get to see you, but we also get to see everything behind you and what's going on at your house and all that great stuff. So if you don't want to share that information, be mindful when you're on those Zoom classes to make sure you're muting your microphone and muting your video unless otherwise specified by your instructor. And in which case you want to make sure you're aware of your background and other people in your household, right? Because you can be viewing a video, you can be on camera, and then someone in your household might be doing something weird right behind you, but everybody gets to see it.
Dr. Everett, if I could chime in, it's almost like those, I think it's almost a notion of students taking the approach and acting like you're coming to class, right?
Yes.
You almost have to take the approach like I'm coming to class. So if you come into class, you know, you'll be sitting down, paying attention, taking notes, doing. So if you're Zooming as well, it's just having that same approach. And believe you me, we're all human. I have fell victim with my 2 kids running around behind me, putting up signs behind my head while I'm on the Zoom. So we understand situations like that may happen. It just, you got to be cognizant of it. That's all.
Absolutely. And I've been a witness to that. So please keep that in mind. And as you can see, we're actually using virtual backgrounds right now. So you really can't see our environment. And so that's available to you as well, especially if you want to hide the background that you're in. Also, please note that there are chat features with Zoom. So you're able to raise your hand and then you want to wait patiently for your instructor to actually acknowledge you and to allow you to speak before the class. And that just helps create class management kind of order in the classroom so everybody's heard. And so that's a good thing to remember. Please remember also there's always a chat feature, but you want to make, I wanted to make sure you understood that. Be aware that your comments are public and recorded in the minutes of the session. So I could be on this webinar sending Dr. St. Cyrin a message, but it's going to be recorded in part of the minutes for this meeting. And so just keep that in mind in terms of your conduct when you're on the Zoom calls or Zoom classes, I'm sorry. And then we have the final bullet, which is lights, camera, and action. Think about everything that you're doing when you're in a Zoom class and the video is showing and the microphone is on, because it's being, in some cases, it can be recorded, but others can definitely see it, right? And so you want to give your professors and your classmates your the best presentation of yourself as possible. And so just be mindful of that. Next slide, please. All right, so we wanted to make sure that you knew that there was some financial support out there for you. Many of you may be wondering how you're going to pay for classes. You might be getting those invoices in the mail, and you know tuition is due, and you're like, what am I going to do? All right, so one of the things you can do, we encourage all of our students to complete the FAFSA application. It's the free application of federal student aid. You can do that by going to the website, which is www.fasfa.ed.gov. And you can complete that and submit that. And then they'll process that within a couple of days, and they'll be able to tell you what your award is. You'll actually be able to see it. If you set up that Net ID through my CCAC portal, you'll be able to see what your financial aid status is there. So that'll be a great resource for you. We also have our own financial webpage, which is available on our website. But also, we wanted to call your attention to the fact that there are scholarships out there. There are scholarships that you might be eligible for through our educational foundation. And the deadline date for those applications happens August 21st. So you have time to get that information in, and you definitely want to scroll all the way down the page and see all of those scholarships and take advantage of those resources. In addition to that, there's some quick financial aid facts that are important. Federal student loan credits will be applied to students' accounts in 2 installments per semester. And we referenced, I believe, some of those installment dates when we talked about that bookstore slide. That information was on there. In terms of students receiving aid, that was actually on the academic calendar for fall 2020. So make sure you look there and it'll tell you when those dates are. Students receiving aid that exceeds their tuition and book costs are sent a refund check, which is really awesome. Or it may be deposited into your account using direct deposit. So that's also a great resource. Always check your financial aid before making any schedule changes. That's something that we require just so students understand what the implications are of their actions. And so we encourage everyone to do that if they decide to change their schedule, which is totally fine. But just make sure you are checking in with that office. Next slide, please. In addition to those financial supports, we have some additional resources out there for you. There's a Student Emergency Gap Fund application. Now that application is available to you online. It's fillable, so you can fill it out, save it to your computer, and email it to your Dean of Student. And we listed, Dr. St. Seren referenced how you can find the Dean of Students. And so that information is right on our website for you. You can submit the application to us. We will review it. Now there is eligibility criteria that's involved. So we're looking at current students that are enrolled in a minimum of 6 credits. You have to have a minimum GPA of a 2.5. You have to have completed the financial aid application process, which is completing that FAFSA application. And you have to be degree seeking and also in good financial standing with the college as well as behavior-wise. So that's important to note about the GAP application. In addition to that though, there's a COVID-19 emergency fund form that's out there. So if you are in need of financial support, you can complete that application. It's fillable as well. It's available on our website, and you can submit that to our financial aid office, and they will let you know if you're able to get some additional funds to help you as you pursue your educational goals. So those are 2 important things that are out there and available to you to help you support your educational goals. Next slide, please. In terms of student advocacy, we have some CCAC navigators. Those individuals really help work with our students and connecting them to community resources. So they're an excellent partner with us. They work very closely, again, with our students and community members to make sure that we are actually assisting our students and getting their needs met. So they're extremely important. You can actually get to one of those navigators. We referenced earlier in the presentation, Dr. St. Seren referred to how you get to the weekly schedule of events by logging on to your MyCCAC portal and into student resources, our icon there. You can get to the navigator's schedule. You can actually email them directly, or you can contact them by phone too. And that information is listed there, or visit them via a chat.
Yeah. Another too, in addition, Dr. Evans.
No, you're fine.
And also too, in addition to the navigators, once you click on that CCAC COVID-19 resource page, their names are listed on the right-hand side.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
So you get the phone numbers and email addresses.
And email addresses.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for adding that. In addition to that, we have our supportive services department, and they really students and advocating for themselves that have been diagnosed with a disability, right? And so they're an extremely useful resource that we have on campus to help support our students. So if that applies to you, don't hesitate to reach out to their office and get connected with the services that they can provide. It's a definite benefit to you, and everything is kept confidential. So you can disclose if you need to. If you're awarded accommodations, you can disclose those accommodations as you see fit. So we don't know that in advance. You have to share that information if you're comfortable doing so. May I have the next slide, please? So just wanted to call your attention to, besides those financial supports, we have teams of individuals out here that support our students in various ways. I referenced the supportive services department, but we also have the Pittsburgh Promise team that kind of works with our Pittsburgh Promise students. We have a Keys team that works with those students. We have athletes, military and veterans, international students, and we also have student success coaches and Perkins Career Technical Education specialists that work with our students as well. And they often do a lot of contact and outreach, so you might get some emails from them, you might get some phone calls from them, and they're going to do what they can to help you navigate through this college system and provide you with the additional support. Along with that, they also do time management tips. They have note-taking skills. If you're not quite sure how to approach a situation, you can always go to those individuals and they will help you work through that. And so it's just an excellent resource that we have on campus to support our students. Next slide, please. Student success. If you haven't figured it out, it's extremely important to us. And so what you'll see here, and I think this addresses one of the questions I saw earlier, we will have the virtual tutoring that's available to our students, and this is how you can reach them. There's links directly on the website, but we have the Learning Commons that'll be offered virtually, and they offer writing assistance in any subject. So we just have a group of Learning Commons facilitators, and they're just sitting there waiting for you to come on and say you need some help. Maybe you need help writing a paper, maybe you need to help citing your sources, all of that. If you just have done and you want a really good grade on it and you want someone to proof it for you, that's where you go, to the Learning Commons, and they'll do that for you. In addition to that, we have the Learning Assistance Center, which provides one-on-one tutoring for our students in all disciplines that we have. And so that's a great resource for you as well. So if you need a tutor in a particular subject, you go there, all you do is click on the link, you enter right into it, they'll ask you what they can help you with, and then they get you in a room with a tutor. Many of you may have worked with tutors previously and have one that you prefer. You may also be able to access them as well as right? And so in addition to that, we also have the Math Cafe, which is available to help you if you have that math anxiety or math phobia, or you need some assistance. You can just go right in there. Dr. St. Cerritus.
Okay.
He can relate, I think.
I can. And I think also too, if I could jump in, Dr. Evans,
Yes.
is that, anxiety, everyone can have it when pertaining to math or any other subject. So something that we try to push students to is let them know about these services. And even though you may not even have a computer, right? We've seen Zoom sessions where students are on their cell phones one-on-one with tutors, right?
Yes.
So please make sure you just click on these links. These individuals will be right then and there with you. They're gonna help you throughout your course. Like again, our goal is your success, but these tutors are very, very, very in tune with the classes that are assigned, whether it be math, if you're learning assistance center one-on-one, or the Learning Commons, whether it be reading, writing, they're very in tune with these courses. So do not be afraid to click on that Zoom, even if technology may not be your thing, but still try it, because those individuals will provide that support.
Yes, very good point. And some of them actually teach, right, in the disciplines that they're actually available to tutor you in. So it's extremely important. And just to note, for those virtual services that are out there, they're available Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday is 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And then we have them again on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So they're available to assist you. Please take advantage of the resource. But in addition to that, if that all else fails, right, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you need help and you need it now, we have that smart thinking link that's available that offers that service. And so that's another resource for you. So just tap into it. Don't wait. They're available as of August 17th to assist you. So don't wait until it's midterm or final and you're stressed out and you're not sure how you're going to do on that final or midterm exam. Just get the help as soon as possible. A lot of our students do very well and they're taking advantage of these resources. Next slide, please. Library services. So many of you might be wondering, is the library going to be open? Well, we do have the library. It will be open on a limited capacity for our fall 2020 semester. So the Ask the Librarian chat will be live. It'll still be working. You can access that from our website. And basically you will be able to get the support that you need. The librarians are working really hard to enhance our electronic resources and our reserves so that we can support students with their needs. But just remember that physical location will be open with limited hours. It would really be just more of a grab and go type of situation so that you're picking up resources or dropping off due books, things of that nature. So that is our plan for our library services moving forward, but they are available to assist you and you can access that information on our web. And Dr. Saint-Cyrin, do you have more to add?
Yeah, actually, it's just making sure that, again, we know that students sometimes when if there's a normal circumstances, we all would stay on campus, we all would sit in the library, we all will focus on, we'll sit there, quiet space, go in there. Unfortunately, when I was in college, I met the library my last year. I think when I graduated is when I met the library, unfortunately, right? But I know you students right here on this call, that's not the case, right? But do understand it's going to be limited hours and limited time frame. So just work with us with regards to being patient with regards to finding other additional spaces. So I know it's difficult, but I'd rather say this now so students aren't shocked when they're coming on location and saying, oh my goodness, it's only open for 3 hours or 4 hours, or I just got out of class and I have, you know, X amount of time to get here, but I only could go into the library for 10 minutes. So just work with us and we will work with you. And also,
our librarians.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and also too, Dr. Evans, if it's okay, I'll jump in and I'll take us home with the next slides if that's okay.
Sure, and I just wanted to add to your comment, our librarians are fantastic. And so if you haven't had a chance to meet with them, introduce yourself, they will do whatever they can to help you. They also will help you with citing sources and finding resources for your papers and things of that nature. So just remember to take advantage of them. They're available to help and they want to help. Okay, Black.
Alrighty, next slide. All right, so student engagement. Yes, student life engagement, right? So what's great about this two component is that now that we're going through COVID-19 and fall 20 is, I'm calling it now the new abnormal, right? Something that we have to get used to, right? Especially now with social distancing, but something that we have with our student life department, student life and engagement, excuse me, we have wonderful staff who do wonderful, wonderful programming virtually, but then how to still keep students connected to the institution. Because we feel, you know, once you get a sense of belonging to an institution, one, it builds retention, you're gonna return, but then also when you have the sense of belonging, you feel like people actually care. And that's one thing I could talk about our student life staff. They actually care with the students they're involved with. So again, going back to the website, if you look at that top pane, you see under student life, that's where you'll be able to click where it says visit student life. Next slide, please. Once you visit it, it'll give you a plethora of information of all the programming that we have going on and then the new updated fall 20 calendar. Of course, we can't have on-ground campus programming. It will be vastly limited, but something we could say, for example, the first week of school next week, and also the second start week when we start on August 31st, we will have a welcome table and we'll have other information, but we probably will distribute water, maybe bags of cookies and stuff like that. I'll be first in line because I love free items, right? So please just stand right behind me. But in addition to that, we want to make sure students know that we're here for help and we're here for support. But within student life, we talked about it. Tomorrow, we're going to have our virtual orientation, but we're also going to have a virtual activities fair. Where the activities fair, we'll talk about all the many, many, many different clubs and organizations that we have. Something I will say right now, and I'll stand on my soapbox all the time, is, you know, when you think of a junior college or a two-year institution, people think of the 13th grade. That's a stereotype I'm rupturing every day, because that is not the case. We have valuable students who participate in these clubs and organizations, and they sit on high standards and actually high other programs and institutions and other groups and companies that we have that we affiliate with. So something I love about our student life and engagement team is we put our students in different situations to learn outside of the classroom. And that's what's lovely about our engagement team. We also have something called SPOC, which is our single point of contact. So what we do is we have students, we assign our staff members to a student, and that's almost like your mentor that kind of stays along with you your first semester, just talk with you, just someone you could connect with. So anytime you have a question, whether you have a financial aid question, but yeah, you're reaching out to the financial aid department, you can reach out to your SPOC contact and they will either call you back, they'll either use Remind or Payment or some type of way to shoot you a text message, or they'll probably shoot you an email as well. If you want to get in contact with us, we do have a system-wide email address, which is studentengagement@ccac.edu. In addition to student life and engagement, we have our wonderful career services team. They work well with all the academic divisions, work well with all our students, all our work studies, and they're providing mock interviews, interview skills. I will let you know when it's looking at your resume and trying to update your resume. What is a resume? Do I need a resume? What about a cover letter? They will work with you now, all right? They also have a system-wide email, which is careerservices@ccac.edu. Now, going back to student life and engagement, we also have the Wildcat News, which is our online paper, and we're going to be going online for fall. And it's a wonderful opportunity for if you write poems, you're into writing, into research. It's a great resume builder, right? Something you can say, hey, I wrote for a paper, I edited a paper. Christine McQuaid, one of our student life specialists, she serves as the lead on this, but then we have student editors. And of course, with newspapers, they're student run. We fall back and we allow students to run the newspaper, run them how there is. Of course, we provide a little bit of guidance, but it's a student run paper. Next slide, please. In addition to that, athletics, right? We have Tori O'Donnell, who serves as our athletic director, and I know her head's been spinning in trying to adjust to COVID-19 with our fall sports. So what we're mentioning right here, Wildcat Athletics and our NJCAA, which is the conference that we're in, not conference, I'm sorry, which the athletic association, the governing body that we're in, it shifted most of the sports to the spring semester due to COVID. So for example, men's and women's basketball was a fall spring sport. We shifted it now over to the spring. But the sports that we have going on now for the 2020-2021, we have men's and women's golf, women's volleyball, men's and women's basketball, men's and women's bowling, baseball, softball. These are such a wonderful opportunity for students to use their athletic ability to further their career. I'm a prime example of that. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I use football as a tool to get me out of that environment, get me to Moon Township, Pennsylvania, which was the greatest culture shock I've ever experienced in my life. A kid from Brooklyn to Moon Township, but it was a wonderful experience. But I use sports to propel me and look where I'm at. So there's a wonderful opportunity where students could come to a two-year institution, again, get the core classes, get career focused, transfer now to youth sports to get a scholarship to IUP, Point Park, Clarion, Robert Morris. That's all the other locations that we've had students transfer on to an athletic scholarship, as well as academic scholarship too. Also bear in mind that our eligibility rules will remain in place, adhered to the upcoming season. Even though those sports have transitioned over to the spring, eligibility rules will still remain in place. But when it comes down to specific eligibility rules, Tori O'Donnell, our athletic director, will be the individual to reach out to. And if you can see, ACE is holding up her contact information. Coaches are looking to complete their rosters with interested and experienced athletes. We are thinking of starting probably mid-October to see if we could provide some training, some maybe, of course, recruiting time period, but tryouts as well for these. But you'll be notified as soon as we can. Next slide. Student completion. I think when you have that idea of coming to college, you almost have to have an end goal, right? You have to have an idea to say, you know what, I'm either here to take a couple classes, see what I want to do. I'm either here to take a couple classes and transfer, or I'm just here to get these classes and get this money. I want to get this job, be certified, having employable skills and have a certificate in something specific like welding, HVAC, or even CNA, right? But when you think about student completion, these are two departments that will definitely help you and service you. You have academic advising, which pretty much gets down to just talk with them about developing an academic plan, course selection, like what classes do I take, like why do I need that, right? And of course, the review of graduation requirements. Once a student is ready to graduate, they have to make sure they sit with an advisor to say, hey, I took all these classes that I needed, right? Okay, I can finish. Then we have our counseling department, which they can advise to some degree, but they're more personal, right? They get into personal counseling, like, hey, you know, I'm having some thoughts or mental issues pertaining to this, or, you know, I'm not feeling right today, or, you know, I've been really stressed out. You know, that Vladimir, that dean of students at North Campus, man, he's been really getting on my nerves, right? I need to speak to someone pertaining to him. This is where you can have those conversations with that. They also talk about transferability as well. Next slide. Now, coming back to campus and circling all back, right? We ask students to think about this. And again, I'll even drop down to the last bullet where it says everyone's responsibility. I'll probably start from there. This is everyone's responsibility when we're coming back to campus, right? Ranging from the faculty, staff, students, administrators, and of course, visitors, right? So when it comes down to doing self-questionnaire prior to coming on campus, everyone is doing that. When in regards to face coverings required while on campus for all students, faculty, and staff, I have mine. I'm gonna get my designer one to make sure it matches my tie though, you know, gotta make sure they all match. When it comes down to washing hands regularly, of course, that's everyone's job. And of course, maintaining physical social distancing, okay? Next slide, please. So now that concludes the presentation and all the information that we just bombarded you on. It's a lot of information to engulf, to take in. But now in the Q&A section, Dean Spiker is still with us. She's online, so she's answering some Q&As that have been going on. But we have Benjamin, and we also have, hey, we have Benjamin. We also have Kate in the background that will pull out, go into the Q&A and start seeing if we have some questions on. So Ben, Kate, let us know what questions are on the board. I have a few that I wanted to ask in person, but I'll wait. I'm sorry, answer in person, but I'll wait until you have some for us.
I think the biggest pressing question is we have students that are going to be taking classes until a set time, and then their next class starts online in 10, 15 minutes. Will there be a space for them to use Zoom, a computer lab, library, anything like that?
Yeah, actually, that's something that we've been talking about too. So currently right now, we talked about the limitation on foot traffic on campus, but we are working on finding open lab space now and making sure we have that availability for students. So that is something that we are working on. But I would also say too, is that have conversations with your instructors as well. You know, because the schedule you received, it wasn't malicious, but it wasn't your fault that it was made that way, right? So I would probably have conversation with your instructor saying, hey, you know, I have this psychology one-on-one class that's virtual and I could take it, but then it's over at 12:50, but then I have an on-ground class that starts this time frame and I have to drive home or drive here. And let's say the hour that I was supposed to get to the library, I couldn't sit in the library to take this class. Inform those instructors as well, because we will be in contact with them and they could reach out to us and there's something they could work with you. So I'll probably talk with your instructor and inform them like, hey, this is my schedule. It's not that I don't want to be here, but I'm driving to you or driving back home. So I'll probably have that conversation with the instructor. But all the while, we're working on making sure at each location we have space for you.
The next question I have, a student has is, do they have any technological tips for online learning, like how to use Zoom?
You mean with regards to just Zoom itself or Blackboard?
Yes. Zoom, I think in particular, like what should they be ready for? If they're a new student that's going to be taking classes here, I'm going to, you know, pretend I know the scenario. What should they be ready for? How would they be ready to take classes online?
Well, one thing, and my colleagues could step in, is that the faculty members are reaching out. For example, I teach a course. So something I'm doing is once I see my course list by maybe Saturday or Sunday, I see what students are in there. I'm reaching out to them and what I'm sending them to their CCAC email. All right, so make sure you have your CCAC email. You probably placed your Gmail or Yahoo account, and there's a way where you could forward it. But we always make sure students check their CCAC email, because sometimes that's what faculty members have right on, right? So what I would suggest too is once you check your CCAC email, I'm sending an email saying these are the Zoom links that we've created that you need to check in on. If your class is from 9 to 9:50, 10 to 10:50, and it's a synchronous class, you click, all you have to really do is click on that Zoom link. Now, with regards to different class tips, Kristen just actually added right in the chat session, there's a link you could click on. So hopefully whoever asked that question is still on, and they could click on the link and you'll find some wonderful class tips and the use of Zoom.
So I did want to encourage anyone, we do have quite a few people in the chat, please go ahead and put in your questions in the question and answer box. But also, can we also talk about some of the social distancing policies in the classrooms and in the hallways or anything like that? Just for further clarification.
So we have signs everywhere. So when you come in, you'll see our Wildcat paw prints where it'll tell you where you can stand up about 6 feet apart. We have blocked off sections where you cannot sit down, you cannot enter. And every classroom, every computer lab, just every common area we've walked into, and we've decreased the maximum size limit for classes. So for example, if a room fit 100 individuals, we did the math with 6 feet, then you know what? Then it's only maybe 48. And I'm just throwing out a number. Remember, math was my least favorite subject. So we have made those conditions with regards to each classroom and each setting in each room. But then also too is we have plexiglass at locations with regards for staff working with you. We have kiosks that are open. We also are on a cleaning schedule, a really rigid cleaning schedule of once a class session is finished, the block schedule, we're in there cleaning, making sure the new set of students are coming in. So we're prepared to have students on campus. I don't know if any other of my colleagues want to chime in.
I just wanted to add one thing, and that is simply that outside of any space on campus, you're going to see a maximum capacity number. And
Yes.
so you got to pay attention to that before you enter that space. And so that's for all of our safety. So we've done the homework. We know how many people can fit in a space safely and maintain that social distancing. We are requiring everyone on campus to wear some form of mask. And as Dr. St. Cyrin mentioned, if you need a special accommodation for a mask, you're to see our supportive services team in order to get that accommodation. But we definitely have safety first as a priority for our students. We want this to be a safe, fun learning environment. And so we're doing what we can to help others maintain that social distancing and a safe environment for us to learn.
Yeah, and in addition to is something that we're doing to kind of manage the flow of traffic is that we're having limiting entrances and exits, right? So there's some, if you were a current student and you came to Allegheny campus, you normally knew, ooh, I gotta run to my car, I'm gonna dip out this door. That door may not be open right now, right? Because we wanna make sure we limit to make sure we know who's in and who's out. In addition to that too, is at every location, at every location's first stop, there'll be an administrator there between 8:30 and almost 7:30, Monday through Thursday, because we'll have evening weekend coverage with administrators doing different coverages. You'll be able to find a body and have a conversation with individuals as well. So if you have a question, you could go to, for example, North Campus when you first walk in, first stop, someone will be there to assist you.
In addition to that, I think we talked about the elevator space. There's only 3 individuals allowed in the elevator at one time. We have one-way stairways, like one way up, and on the other side you have to come down. So just pay attention to the signage when you're proceeding to your classes, and also leaving and exiting the building so that we can all keep that social distancing going.
Yeah, and if I can too, real quick, I'm gonna share my screen. It just to share a little bit of what it'll look like. This is what you'll probably be able to see, where it says the college-wide primary. It'll show the entrances, exits, and these are little paw prints that you'll be able to see that'll show you, all right, 6 feet, one way here, 6 feet, one way there, right? Exit only, entrance only. I think the main thing too is that this will force individuals who are always on this, they're always on Instagram, always on TikTok, always on Snapchat. This will force you to walk up now and walk in, make sure you read signs, just so you know where you're going, you know?
We do have a new question. First, it looks like they were a latecomer, and they want to know the Blackboard feature for online and Zoom classes, what that entails, how they would get into it.
So if you sign on into your NetID, so it's the My CCACs. So if you go on the CCAC website, scroll down, it'll say log into My CCAC. You click on that. It'll pop up, a new screen will generate, and it'll ask for your username and password, which is your NetID. So mine will be your first initial last name, or your full name, period, last name, and the password you created. Once you click on that, you jump into your My CCAC portal. This is where you can get so much information. You scroll down a little bit and you'll see Blackboard sites. Depending on the class that you have, you'll see the list of your classes, right? Once you click on that, if you've never been to Blackboard, it literally prompts you, hey, quick tips, let's go through an information session so you can learn how to do that. It literally prompts you to do that. And even if you have been on it before and you click exit, in addition to the left pane, it'll show you start now, Blackboard tools, Blackboard worksheet. It'll provide you all that information.
On my schedule for fall I got in the mail, one of my classes is blank for in-person or online. Does it mean the class is in person? How do I join any of my classes via Zoom?
One more time and read that slow.
Sure. The student, for the schedule they received in the mail, one of their classes is blank for if it's in person or online. Does it mean that the class is in person? And then how do they join their classes via Zoom?
So the first part, I think I'd answer. So there's a class that's there. So it doesn't say TBA or TBD, right? So I'm assuming it doesn't say that. It just has the class.
Yeah, it looks like it's just blank where the location is.
All right, so it just has the location. I do know classes that are in person, they do have a hybrid component, but they're meeting for the first probably 6 or 7 weeks, I think. But what we'll do then is, just in case, if the person's still on in the chat or in the Q&A, can you please mention us that course? Just place it in that course, and what we could do is we could look it up right now. But in addition, there was a second part of that question. How do you get on the Zoom? I think it was, Ben?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, within that class schedule, your instructor will reach out to you and have a conversation with you prior to that, and you'll get a Zoom link. And that Zoom link will either be, I'm assuming it'll probably be reoccurring. So for example, my Zoom link, the class that I'm teaching, it'll be reoccurring. My class meets on Tuesdays, Thursdays from 6 p.m. to 6:58. So it'll be the same Zoom link all the time. That all I need to do is go back to it, the original email, and I click on that. So that's how you jump right into it.
As of the moment, I don't have any new questions. Once again, to our participants out there, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A box. Oh, here's one. This is actually from Mindy, our Secretary of Student Government at Allegheny campus. They're interested in enhancing the textbook purchasing process via My CCAC and the bookstore. Who would be the best person to contact about that?
I don't want to sound smart. I do not want to sound smart, but you contact the bookstore. It sounds, I know it does, but yeah. So on the, if you look at the CCAC website, right in the search box, you just type in bookstore, and that directly, once you click on it, you'll see all the bookstore managers. So for example, I think it's Tammy for Allegheny campus, Lisa, I think for North campus. You can have a conversation with them. They are wonderful, wonderful people. They actually take in student inquiries all the time about just how to enhance services, but then also offering gift packages at the bookstore. So I've seen students have conversations with them, came back with me. I didn't believe them. I walked down to the bookstore. I'm like, oh, you really did that. That's great. So they're wonderful people. They take a lot of student interest, but that would probably be the first step, is talk with the bookstore manager.
So the first, got a couple responses. The first one is, you don't need to type in a number for Zoom. You can simply click on the link, correct?
In particular to the Zoom links that are available through student services to access services remotely, you do not have to put in like a passcode or anything like that. In terms of the classes, if you have a Zoom link that's been provided by your instructor, you want to check those instructions, right? If there's a passcode involved, they will give it to you so that you have that to plug that in. But not all of them will set up their courses that way. And so it's really on a case-by-case basis. So you really want to make paying attention to that email notification from your professor so you have that information.
We're also getting a question for Engineering 101 start date. Got twice actually.
All right, let's see if we can look it up. Engineering 101. Can you ask the student if they have like a section number associated with that? Or if they hear me, if you please get back in the Q&A, put Engineering 101 and just put the section number, whether it be BHC something, South something.
Student does not know the section number, but it is at South Campus.
Okay. We'll look it up. We'll see what's up. And I see the other student who had that question about the blank. I think it was Music 121. We'll review that as well.
The next, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry.
The next question I have is there a drone program drone degree program at CCAC or courses that lead toward this type of degree or program or certificate?
A drone program. I know we have a couple non-credit programs, and I know we had a drone program at Allegheny campus. Let's see if we can look that up as well.
While you're looking at that, Vlad, I'm seeing a question about student orientation tomorrow and what it covers, and if you can't stay the whole time, what should you do? And just as the person who's helping coordinate that, is it all right if I go ahead and answer it?
Yes, you can.
All right, so student orientation tomorrow will cover some of these basics like how to access your student ID, but we'll also be going more in depth about how you can access student services and the different ways that you can navigate the portal. We will cover subjects related to we're actually bringing in some academic deans to speak and give you some more in-depth advice about how to succeed in your classes and the academic resources available to you and connect you with certain department members who can help. And then there'll be a breakout session where you can speak to current students and ask questions, as well as current faculty and staff members in each of the departments. I strongly encourage you to attend new student orientation if you are a new student. I think there's a lot to be gleaned from that wasn't covered during today's session, as today's session is really for students who are experienced in navigating the CCAC system. So yeah, that's my answer to that.
Okay. I've got a couple bookstore questions. Mindy responded again saying that they're referring to the link that takes you to the required text for the class. Would that also be the bookstore's responsibility?
Yeah, that's CCAC shop. Yeah.
Okay, that's part one. Part two would be, is it best to get your books before class begins or wait until the class actually starts?
So what normally we do, or we tell, it all depends, right? And I hate that answer, it all depends. Sometimes students wait until, like basically faculty have course materials. So sometimes faculty have specific textbooks that they utilize, or sometimes they have a different textbook, or maybe like a notepad or some type of book that's connected to it, right? So that's why sometimes students go to the first class to see, okay, hey, let me see if I need a textbook or not. We do recommend that too. But at the same time, I do know there's some students who may go, they go in the first day of class, and normally I know certain faculty members, they give homework that first day of class, right? So I would suggest reaching out to the faculty member. Hopefully on your schedule, it'll say the first initial last name. That's where you can find out on our personal directory, you can find their email address. Reach out to that faculty member and ask, upon first class, do I need my textbook for the first official class?
We've gotten a couple of questions again about Zoom. When will they be receiving their links? We've had some latecomers come in. Could we answer that question again, when they will get their Zoom links and how they will get them?
They will receive their Zoom links from their instructors. I'll tell you about Zoom. Zoom is so popular now. I mean, they're winning. They are winning.
Did you answer, or you want me to answer?
Hmm?
Did we answer the question there, Ben?
Yes, I believe you did cover who is responsible for disseminating the Zoom information and when you can expect that. I'm seeing a question on here. I'm actually just going to read verbatim. Will we be wearing masks on campus during on-campus classes? I have a 2-hour or more class on campus and didn't know if we would have to wear masks the whole time. I've seen classes for things like karate that they were held outside and were 6 feet apart with no masks.
So it is our requirement that all students, staff, everyone, faculty members will have on masks. So yes, you should plan to wear your mask the entire time you're on campus.
All right, there's also a follow-up part to that. I have to scroll to find it. It says, what happens if you test positive for COVID since we're coming to class? Do we wait 2 weeks before returning? How will it affect that class? Some classes only used to let you miss 2 or 3 classes before losing a letter grade.
So we kind of covered that earlier in the presentation when we said you need to notify your instructor immediately, as well as the dean of students immediately, and we'll walk you through what happens next. And so you just definitely want to make sure you're doing those 2 things. Do not come to campus if you've been diagnosed with having the virus, or if you test, or if you can answer yes to any of those questions you're supposed to ask yourself prior to coming to campus, right? And that information is available on our main website. You scroll down, it talks to you about CCAC COVID-19 response. The self-questions that you're supposed to ask yourself prior to coming to campus are right there. If you answer yes to any of those, or if you have the virus, you are to contact your instructor for your on-site classes, as well as the dean of students.
I do have a new information I can pull up. Not new, I'm sorry, information. I'm sorry. Question is the point about reaching out to the faculty member is that the student was told that the faculty member was not responsible to respond to me until the first day of class. And can that be addressed?
Well, interesting. Our faculty members are available and on campus now in terms of being accessible to our students. So if you tried that earlier a couple of weeks ago, please try again to reach out to that instructor. You probably will get a response from them now. A lot of them had vacations and everything scheduled, and they weren't due to be active again until this past Monday.
Yeah, but also too is just in case, what I'll do then is for that specific question, let me put in the chat, I'll put my email address. And if that individual could just reach out to me and let me know what class and what faculty member is, and just in case we could reach out together. All right, so I'm gonna put my email address right now. And just shoot me an email.
It's been requested that we screen share and show the process of walking through accessing Blackboard and where courses show up. I do not currently see in my CCAC account where I could access a Blackboard site to demonstrate. So if one of you could screen share, that would be wonderful.
Sure, let me go on screen number 2. Let me see if I can get it. All right. Tiffany, help me and let me know, because I can see you. I can't see everyone else. Can you see my welcome back? All right. Tiffany's my Vanna White. Yeah, I appreciate it. All right. We go on www.ccac.edu. We scroll down, see where it says right here, the login to my CCAC. I'm already logged in, right? Are you on my portal, Tiffany?
Yes.
See it? All
Yes.
right. So I'm already logged in because I already was in before, but then it'll get you to another screen where you have to put in your NetID username and your password. So this is where you'll scroll down, and right here, see where it says My Blackboard Sites? It'll say My Blackboard Sites right here. And as you can see, I've taught a couple of classes, but this is where the classes that you have will be linked up right here. So you'll see them. So for example, I have college SCM faculty resource. I have back in fall of 2019, I taught a CIT 100. So that's where whatever classes you would have, you'll click right here on that link, right? And when you click on that link, probably won't open up, but let's see if it connects to Blackboard for us, right? But this is the instructor side that you'll see. So what's great about it, do you see what's on the right, Tiffany? Does it say COVID-19 student resources? So
It does.
Right, so what's excellent, it gives you some information right here that kind of talks us about different things updated about new information, new FAQ, new calendar events, new things. So just always make sure to reach up these pop-ups, right? And I'll give them a shout out. I say, yes, this information was helpful. But I don't want to give any feedback right now. But this is where, again, you're seeing from the instructor side, but from the student side, this is where you'll see the information, right? You'll click over here. If the instructor has labeled the syllabus, you can click on the syllabus. As of myself, see, I put the syllabus right here just so students can see. If you go to course textbooks, I click over here, I put the the textbook that the students.
If you would like, I can open up my CCAC because I do have an actual student platform because I'm also taking classes, teaching, and working at the college. So,
but I think it's similar information.
It's not the same thing, but just if you wanted to do it that way, we can do it too.
Okay. In addition to here, then you'll have your assignments and documents, and this is always the great page right here. And again, depending on how the instructor for that class, how they set that up, everyone is a little bit differently. I like to provide information, so I give everything up front, but then I also like to give the chapter presentations and the PowerPoints just so students can follow along with me, because last spring semester when we were in March, we went online, right? We went virtual. So I wanted to make sure I provide the students each chapter and what we talked about, and I wanted to give them a study guide. These are hyperlinks. Once you click on these hyperlinks, these will open up a new link or new web page or new information that you'll have that the instructor has assigned for that class. I'll stop sharing. Ben, I don't know if you're able to share, but if you can, we could pull that up.
Before you do, or either one of you, can you show them when you go to the My Blackboard sites? At the bottom, there's a start here, getting started in Blackboard, and it says content, a student guide to Zoom at CCAC. It was just recently updated. So if we can share that too, that would be awesome.
All right. All right, Ben, all you.
Then you may be muted.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Gotcha. While Ben is setting that up, Kate, is there any other questions while Ben is setting up?
Okay.
I'm currently answering a question about a rad tech program, which will go out for all people to see, but it should be all right.
All right. Thank you, Kate. All right, Ben, sorry.
No worries. So I'm in this now. So this is actually the class, this is summer class I took that shows you information about. So this is like the student view of what it'll have is your announcements that your instructor is going to post will be there. Any assignments that will come up that are due if the instructor chooses to use that calendar. My instructor for the summer did for the major assignments, but not for the minor ones. And then the discussion board, as you can see, I did not check it like I probably should. Don't do that. Probably why I only got a B instead of an A, but you know, make sure that this is the best place to check that. So what am I looking for in particular?
So right before you clicked on this course, can you go back and I'll direct you a little bit?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so as you're scrolling down, you're gonna look for the start here. I don't see it on your side. Wait, you're going too fast. It's one of the Blackboard sites. So
There's a Blackboard training tab too.
yeah. So So that'll be for your Blackboard course shells, which is great, a great resource. And I have different options under mine, but under my Blackboard site, I simply have a start here, getting started in Blackboard, and there's a content, a student guide to Zoom at CCAC listed there.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Here, I'm going to hit stop share. Take myself off.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben, for sharing.
And it's important that we reiterate that you won't be able to see your Blackboard information until the first day of classes. And keep in mind that if you're a strictly online student, your classes will probably not start until the 31st, which is not for another 2 weeks. So just keep that in mind. So don't panic if you're not seeing any information yet, because things won't get rolling until later in the month. So just keep that in mind. If you're a 14-week class, your stuff's not going to show up yet.
So if I can add on my CCAC, you can check your schedule, right? And you'll find out what your start dates are for your classes. So if you have the August 17th as a start date, those classes are starting on August 17th. If it's online, you want to get on early as soon as you can so you can make sure you have the right book and you can keep up with the pace of the class. You don't want to wait until like that Friday or Saturday when everything for that week is due to get on for the first time. So just make sure you're getting on, you're checking your email, and making sure that you're staying on top of your information.
And then, of course, last but not least, if you can't find anything and you still have questions, right? Just like me, you will give me a step-by-step, 10-step how to bake this or how to build this IKEA desk. I still will have questions, right? You have resources like ourselves where in an online Dean format, if you have questions pertaining to getting to a class, finding a class or whatever it is, you go to the online Dean format as we shared before. You could find our names, click on one of our names. We'll get back to you as soon as we can.
It looks like we had one student raise their hand if they'd like to go ahead and put the question in the Q&A.
All great questions so far. Thank you. All great questions.
All right, here we are. Oh, it was a typo. Never mind.
Okay.
That's okay.
I'm glad they know how to use the feature.
Thanks, Mindy.
That's true. That's true. Something else that we've been saying during the town halls is that even though we have our 3 deans of students here and we'll have one additional coming along the way for Boyce Campus, we service all locations. So even though Vlad may be north, Kristen may be Allegheny, Tiffany over at South, we service all locations. We'll be able to service and help the students at any location. And honestly, this semester we'll probably be rotating at all locations, just making sure students can be serviced.
Right. I have no further questions unless it looks like the room's a little bit, there's still a lot of people online. We're still here to answer any questions for the next few minutes if you have anything else.
Sure. We're right here. But again, great questions too. Great questions. Okay. I think one just popped up.
Yep. So as a new student, should I log in and all my course info, including the Zoom link, will be right there?
Logging into my CCAC, my Blackboard?
Yes. That's what they're meaning. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, on Blackboard. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tiffany and Kristen, most classes now have a Blackboard component to it, if not all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And just so you know, also in your course shell, it is very well possible that the tutoring link can be there as well. So that'll help you access us a little bit easier. So just go in, make sure you make yourself familiar with what your course shell looks like. And it might be different from course to course. So make sure you're familiar with it and all the links that are available to you. Take advantage of resources early. That's always great. And if there's anything we can do for you or to assist you, you can always just reach out. Looks like there's another question, maybe? Nope.
I think it was answered.
Yes.
But we're still here.
Here, everybody.
And I must give a big shout out to our Dean Spiker. Even though she has technical difficulties, she's here servicing students. Still here. See, that's what we're all about. We're here, no matter what. Rain, shine, no sound. We are here servicing students.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yes,
We can hear you now.
I really did have technical difficulties. I wasn't trying to avoid the discussion, but you all did a wonderful job. Thank you for that.
We're
Thank
all
you for your support.
yeah. Thank you. We're all one team.
Another question?
Yes, we do.
Yep, got another one. I have a college seminar class. It's listed as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The instructor reach out to give us assignments.
So it's an SEM 105.
I bet you that's probably what it is.
I believe that's the only college seminar class we run.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, Bridget said yes.
Okay, and what was the second part of the question?
Will the instructor reach out to give them assignments?
Yes, they will. And actually, too, the coordinators, and Ben, I think you and I just received that email because Ben and I are both teaching at SEM 105. They will also reach out, the coordinators will also reach out their office hours and times to those students as well, I think.
Next question I have is, I think you talked a little bit about this, but only one of their classes is showing up on Blackboard and they don't know what textbooks I could need for my classes. Am I missing something or could I find what textbooks I need elsewhere?
I actually just typed an answer in for that. You should be able to look on the bookstore website as well and search by class and section, and it will tell you if there are books assigned for that course as well.
I also added the link so that you can log on and just click right into our CCAC bookstore page, which will have all of that information. And so you'll be able to go right to that information. But you also probably will need your schedule too, because you'll need to put in your course number, course section, location, and then it's going to populate the textbooks that are needed for your classes.
And also, to going back to the online component, whether it's the college seminar or any class, it will be on the Blackboard once the first of classes begin too, like we said before. So if anything with a class, you see it, it has a section number, go on your Blackboard shell like how we showed you, and you'll be able to see that.
And just remember, if you purchase your books and for some reason need to make a return, as long as you have your receipt and you have it in the original packaging or wrapping, you have 14 days from the start of the semester to be able to return your books. So keep that receipt, it's important.
I am not seeing any more questions roll in. We can give it just another couple moments in case there's some particularly detailed one.
I know we've had some people come in late, it's fine. Oh, I am taking an online class and I went to the CCAC bookstore website and I can't find the correct section number.
You have the name of the class. If you can't, just put it back in the Q&A.
Name of the class in there for me, please.
All right, business 130. We will check on that right now.
Did we mention open educational resources?
PRs, I don't think we have.
So some of our professors have been looking for ways to make the textbook more affordable. So we have some open educational resources that are free to our students that are also embedded inside of the course shell. I'm not sure if that's the case for you, but if you've gone to the bookstore and you can't find it using your section number, I believe my colleagues are looking at the bookstore and trying to see if they can find it using the section number, so they'll get back to us. That could very well possibly be the case. They've embedded open educational resources that you may be able to access at no charge inside of the course shell. So that's always a possibility.
Got a new question. I have a 2.5 hour hybrid class. A counselor who helped me sign up for classes said the first half hour was on Zoom and the other 2 hours was in person. Could you give us like what is the name of the class, please? It'll give us more details. It's posted in the Q&A.
Also, to Dean Spiker pasted in the chat, the Business 130, the section, the online. She pasted the link.
Got it. Intro to Bio and Business 101.
And with that, what's the question, Ben?
It looks like I think Rachel just posted the student's name and said they were just a little. It sounds like they're confused that they said the first half hour was on Zoom and the other 2 hours was in person. So what could you be a little more clear about what you're asking, please? I think I have an idea. I just don't want to misinterpret what you're typing.
It's a hybrid course, the biology course. So the lab component is actually on campus, whereas the lecture, I believe, will be partially hybrid. So it looks like the course is hybrid to allow for the lab component to occur online.
And there's your answer.
All right, is there any more questions for us? Dr. Evans and Dean Spiker, I won't speak for you, but I think I've been very engaged this session with regards to questions asked. It's always good. Like I told you, I told the group when I started earlier today, I needed this. I had a very roller coaster day, but anytime you get to engage with students, I enjoy it all the time.
Absolutely.
So if there's not any more questions, and you are more than welcome to leave this session. We do have an orientation session tomorrow that new students, we are pushing you and make sure you do attend. It's going to be a wealth of information, great information, and Kate did explain a little bit into detail as to what's going to happen, what's going to go on. And and we look like right now the morning session has closed, but the afternoon session, which is 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., correct me if I'm wrong, Kate and Ben. So
That is correct.
Okay, so the afternoon session for orientation is still open. But let's say you missed that too, and you start the first day of class, you have us as resources, right, to reach out to us from the Dean of Students perspective. But then again, on August 28th, and I think we're doing one on September 11th. We're going to have student resource fairs, and that's where you'll learn more about the student service department as a whole, but just different resources, different places to, again, who can I get for support? Who can I ask this question? Who can I just talk to? Who can I find a body that I could ask where in the world is the bathroom, right? So I think that's wonderful. Two programs that we're gonna have is gonna be through Zoom, but by that time, for those who haven't used Zoom, you will be seasoned vets using Zoom at that time, and we'll both have those programs for you. So that'll be on August 28th, and we'll do it on September 11th, and it'll be the same format. We'll have a 9 to 11 a.m. Zoom session, and then a 1 to 3 p.m. on both days. And those will be called the student resource fairs. Someone asked in the chat, are they going to mail photo IDs? Currently, right now, we're not going to mail photo IDs. Does not mean that it may not change, because we are working with our information technology service department to see how we could service students who are just taking straight online, and so they can get issued an ID. So currently, right now, we're not mailing out the ID.
We have proceeded to make sure that our allied health clinical students and our nursing clinical students have an updated photo ID for their clinical locations. But again, if you're a new student this semester, we are not encouraging you to come to campus simply to get your photo ID. It's something that we can do going forward.
Ben and Kate, I think we may be good from the Q&A side. I see nothing in the chat.
I see.
Nope.
I can answer this question.
Sure.
It says to talk to a professor in Zoom, do I raise hand and then start talking, or chat then talking? That depends on what your professor's personal preference is.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. That is a good question. Because you can't raise your hand, but I know me, I raise my hand in the screen so they can see me, but that's
yeah,
a
I
good
do
one.
too.
Yeah, you can use that. That's a good one.
And I would expect that a lot of instructors may try to address things like that within their first class session, just so that you can become familiar with their Zoom environment and the expectations that they have.
Yep.
All right, I think that's it. I think we don't have any more.
I don't know, Ben, every time we say there are no more, it's inevitable, which is
Going
fun.
once, go no. All right, last call for questions. If you have anything else, go ahead and put them in.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for participating in this town hall presentation. Hopefully the information you received answered some of your questions, but again, I know you may have some more, and if you leave here thinking, oh my goodness, I should have asked this question, again, please reach out to us through the online dean. But then again, if you are at a location, you have a face-to-face, and you are on campus, at each of our locations, there is a first stop where you will have a live body, a live person to ask questions, and also even direct to. Again, we did mention about locations and signs that will be all across the different locations at different campuses. At those locations, I think specifically Allegheny campus, we have additional staff and Boys campus, additional staff that will be at those locations, so just to direct you on how to get to a location, question you may have, or how to get to class. Dr. Evans, Dean Spiker, don't know if you have any closing remarks before we get off this call.
I just want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. Thank you for your patience with any technical difficulties that may have occurred. And we look forward to getting to see you guys back on campus and interact with you back in these virtual environments. It's been a while, and it's nice to get to see everyone again.
Yes.
And as a final note, I just want to encourage you guys to reach out to us individually or through the online dean. If you have unanswered questions, or as things come up during the semester, as they often do, we're available to help you. We're accessible. We're on campuses. We answer our phones. We respond to emails, all that great stuff. So just remember, we're a resource and we're here for you.
Thank you to Kate. Thank you to Ben so much. And Heather, I see you still on. Thank you as well.
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay, I will end this session. Thank you again. Have a wonderful fall 2020 semester. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.